Hey guys, what's going on, friends and family? My name is Skylent, and I'm excited to bring you a new top 10 list. I know you guys love them. We'll keep it coming as long as you guys support the Patreon, like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Thank you, applause for the donators. But monster hunting games, that's the topic. You clicked on it, and you're excited. But let's kind of clarify what we're actually talking about here. These are games that focus on monster hunting, not just being similar to Monster Hunter. There's a little bit of a difference. These aren't just boss rush games either. There's a little bit of give and take, but basically, thematically, they have to fit. Do you hunt monsters in the game, and is that the focus of the mechanics? That's pretty much it. I know we can kind of go from there, and the list isn't really too properly ordered, a little bit disorganized, but hopefully we can still all have fun with the list. So, let's go ahead, hunters. Let's jump right in. Alright guys, starting out our list here, we have Titan Souls, and I think it's going to be a great example for the rest of the list. As you can see, it's a really weird game, and I wanted to start out with this micro monster hunting game because I loved it. I did a full Let's Play, links somewhere, comments, description, click on that and watch it, but it's a boss rush game. Like, it only has bosses, and it's very much inspired by Shadow of the Colossus. However, the gimmick here is that it was made for a game jam with the theme of one. So you have one arrow, you have only one chance to get hit. You do get, a saving grace here, one chance to kill monsters. Basically, if you hit their soft spot, they're dead. So they're not giant health pools like we're normally used to in monster hunting games. It's got the theme of one. You die quickly, but so do the bosses. So it's a really fast-paced boss rush game that actually has a decent number of bosses, and even though it's, top-down, pixel-arted, and it looks micro, it actually, when you're in the game, feels really big and quite monstrous. So that's why it made it at the start of our list. Alright guys, next up on the list we have something that maybe you're a little bit more familiar with. That's going to be Dauntless. See, this is a monster hunter game, and those clicking on this list probably expected this game to be on here. It's completely about monster hunting, absolutely, but it's also very much in the image, literally, of the franchise Monster Hunter. It's basically self-proclaimed as a clone of Monster Hunter, and that's pretty much what it is. It's a free-to-play PC version of Monster Hunter, except it's got this, cutesy kind of art style. The story is that there's these floating islands, and there's this substance called aether. The monsters eat the aether, and that makes the islands fall. You gotta kill the monsters so that you can, real estate's kind of important when everything's broken, shattered, and floating. So, yeah, that's where you start out. You jump in. The weapons are a little bit different. Overall, it's still very samey to Monster Hunter, but it's early access. We'll see where it can go from here, and I got my hopes up. Alright, but moving through, I do want to give a shout out to a mobile game called Dragon Project. This is a title that is a little bit finicky with some devices, but overall, I've been having an okay experience, especially considering what kind of game this is. So it's a boss rush-ish game. I will have to admit, it does use a gacha system, so yeah, you have to roll for the chance to, the opportunity to actually fight these bosses, but that's what the whole game is. Basically think like a Monster Hunter without the actual, hunting prospect. You kind of just jump into an arena and then fight the monsters, but yeah, you just jump in, there's monsters, it's a 4-player co-op game, and the mobile controls are actually fantastic. The mechanics of the game do exist, and it compares maybe debatably better than some PC Monster Hunter games. I actually really enjoy it. Of course, it's very, mobilified, and it's kind of chibi-ish, but overall, its cutesy art style works, I think, pretty well for mobile devices, and its mechanics, surprisingly, for a mobile game, once again, it's not automatic. You have to really kick these monsters' asses, and it feels pretty good. Alright dudes, number 7 is Earth Defense Force. Now, unlike a lot on this list, it's not completely focused on just bosses. There are kind of hordes of monsters, but monsters nonetheless. Generally, you're going to be fighting insects, and actually with the newest version, you can see a lot of different kaiju and monsters, and the way this plays is going to be different also from anything else on the list because it's mainly focused on just really comical, cheesy, ridiculous amounts of explosions and shooting, and it plays more like an arcade shooter, but it's completely focused on hunting monsters. That's literally the gimmick. There's giant monsters attacking Earth. You're part of the Earth Defense Force. You do it. Now, there's actually a couple of series on YouTube. I think Funhouse has an amazing one that you can actually go watch. It's just such a silly and funny game. Now, of course, it's going to have some bugs and things, but I think the newest edition is a welcome edition. Oh, wait, guys, that was a completely unintended pun. But yeah, no, I think the newest edition is probably going to be fine enough, well enough for you guys. I know it went under the radar. This is a very Japanese or very Eastern game, but now that you know about it from this list, hey, time to give it a shot. Alright, keeping that hype alive, let's talk about Attack on Titan. Now, as a manga and anime, I think we all know what the concept is, right? Big humanoid titans, they eat peoples, and then you run around with 3D maneuver gear, Spider-Man around with dual razor blades and hack at the back of their necks to kill them. It's cool, fun stuff, right? Okay, yeah. Well, the games are pretty much that as well. You can actually follow the main series of games, the official series, but I want to kind of throw a little bit of focus here on the Tribute game, which is a multiplayer proper, and you can play with a lot of different people. You can even play as a Titan. It doesn't work in Chrome, but it is a web browser game, and it's really cheesy, but it's actually a ridiculous amount of fun, and it was like really the first game that came out that actually tried to have the 3D maneuver gear really properly utilized. But still, I'm just putting Attack on Titan here. Just check out all the different games. It's literally about killing giant humanoid monsters, and in a way that you're not going to find in any other game. Now, halfway on our list, we actually have a twofer, but it really could be more than two. See, I'm actually just going to kind of throw it here and just say, guys, if you have a PSP, you have almost no shortage of Monster Hunter-like games, or even like clones, really proper. And I'm sure we're going to get more on mobile, but not many people have a PSP in the West here, so there's only a few that are truly notable, and that's going to be the God Eater series, as well as Toukiden, but you can also get God Eater on PC and Toukiden 2, which is also notable on PC. And I'm going to mainly highlight these two because I think they're the most known in the West, as well as I think they're the ones that I'm just the most comfortable talking about, because Toukiden 2, I think in a lot of ways, it takes itself a little bit more sincerely when it compares itself to Monster Hunter, and God Eater is like this really like comical anime-ish, you know, kind of look to it, but it actually has an anime that I watched, and it's cheesy in a lot of ways, and I think Toukiden 2 is also pretty ridiculous, but that's kind of what makes them different from Monster Hunter, is like they're a little bit bigger, more magical, and compared to other series that didn't really make it off the PSP, I think these are the ones that talk about. So yeah, go look up all these, and if you do have a PSP, dude, just type in Monster Hunter games, and you're gonna have a library that's gonna fill you for a year. All right, boys, coming up next, we got a big one, and that's gonna be Shadow of the Colossus. Now, there's a little bit of debate of why this makes the list, because hunting, what does that entail? Like, are you really hacking and slashing? Are you shooting these monsters? See, Shadow of the Colossus is making the list for the reason why a lot of people would say it shouldn't make the list, because it's actually, I mean, it's obviously you're going around killing these massive monsters, but they're literally so colossal that you have to climb them, and most of the game is platforming and, you know, exploration. And a lot of the game is just climbing these Colossus so that you can find the weak spot and latching onto them so you don't fall off, and so you can do enough damage to finally slay them. Now, there's only Colossus in this game. There's no mini fights, there's no mobs, it's just the Colossus. So it's entirely a boss rush game with the biggest bosses ever that you've seen in games, and you will feel the scale because you literally have to scale the Colossus to kill them. So hopefully you understand that, and hopefully you're going to be picking up the re-release or the remaster that's coming out for PS4, because I know I will. I'll probably re-stream in that, so hey, check it out. Now, we're into the top three. I'm gonna slap down Bloodborne. I know some of you guys will say, but it's not just a boss rush game. No, but Bloodborne, I think, more than any other Souls-like game, or many more than basically all the RPGs ever, it's gonna be focused on, you're literally a hunter fighting freaking beasts, fighting monsters. And in Bloodborne, I don't know if you guys ever played a Souls-like game, but generally the normal mobs, sometimes, you know, at least the tier 2 mobs, could probably be considered bosses in other games, but in Bloodborne more so than ever, the game is faster paced, the game is more visceral, like literally it is more intense, it is more in your face, and the monsters are way more bestial, way bigger. They're literally considered monsters, and sometimes that's just the normal mobs. So Bloodborne absolutely makes the list, debatably so. I wouldn't really put Dark Souls. It's close, definitely, especially if you compare it to Monster Hunter in some ways, but Bloodborne, way more than those. Hopefully you guys have played it. If not, it is actually worth buying a PS4 for that, if not for actually like half of this list. And now our number 2 Monster Hunter games. It's gonna be Horizon Zero Dawn. Now, Horizon Zero Dawn, even though it is an open world game and it has a lot of story elements, and it's also mainly almost entirely focused on ranged combat, it actually has such a focus on its monsters. Also, its monsters are robo-dinosaurs, so you're not gonna get that anywhere else, more or less, sometimes. But Horizon Zero Dawn's mechanics with its aiming with these giant monsters is also really unique. So you have to actually hunt these monsters by hitting their weak spots, and in an aimed game, you know, that just kind of makes sense. It makes the mechanics really freaking fun. So it's not just about spamming them with giant, big, mega nukes or, you know, giant great swords slamming down on tails. It's a little bit more intricate there with Horizon Zero Dawn, more so than any other game on this list or any other Monster Hunter game that I've ever played. You have to hit specific lenses, specific guns. You can knock them off. You can even use those guns against the enemies, which is really rare in Monster Hunter games. And overall, yes, you can actually play the game a little bit more passively or more story focused, but dude, it's Horizon Zero Dawn. It's giant robo freaking dinos, and that is what is in your face. The challenge is there. The monsters are absolutely monstrous, regardless how robotic they are, and it's a fantastic game, well-rounded, but if you want to play it for the monster hunting, yes, Horizon Zero Dawn was directly inspired by Monster Hunter in a number of ways, and you will have a unique experience playing this game if you're going in for that. Now, I normally don't do this, but this is kind of like my favorite topic for a top 10 since forever, so I'm gonna do some honorable mentions. If you guys are hyped for that, I got some games that definitely include monster hunting, though, their focus isn't as much as all the other games on this list. So let's go ahead and give a shout out to an MMO, Guild Wars 2. I know there's a Monster Hunter MMO literally in the East. There's also a Dragon's Dogma MMO in the East, but I'm going to put Guild Wars 2 here because in the West and the popularity factor, Guild Wars 2 is the only MMO that really has a big focus on slaying open world mobs, the champions, as well as the literal Titan-sized freaking giant dragons where dozens of players have to get together and all do different things, shooting ballistas and jumping and it's hacking at its tails and trying to dodge tidal waves and stuff. It's ridiculous. It's crazy, and of course the dungeons are fun to one and done, and then you're running through, they have the fractals where you're literally fighting giants and all sorts of really ridiculous stuff. Guild Wars 2 is bigger than life, bigger than fantasy in a lot of ways when it comes to fighting the PvE, more so than other MMOs, despite the game actually being quite heavily focused on PvP to an extent with the name Guild Wars 2 as well. You'd think that, but its PvE is not to be scoffed at. It is actually quite legitimately a fun monster hunting game. In fact, my guild in Guild Wars 2 is called Kaiju Breaker. I know it's corny, it's cheesy, but that's the point, man. Fucking monsters are cool, man. But yeah, we got a couple other honorable mentions. Let's talk about Witcher 3 and Skyrim here. So these are RPGs. As a Witcher, you're literally, that's what you're supposed to do, is you're supposed to hunt monsters. And in Skyrim, the focus is to go and slay the giant dragons. I understand that, but these being the open and more RPG-focused, well, RPGs, you're gonna not kill monsters a whole lot of the time, so it's a little bit debatable if it should be on the list or if it shouldn't be. I really wanted to focus on the mechanics of hunting monsters, so even though thematically I think these do fit the list, and in ways because they are a little bit more open, you could choose just to kind of rush through and fight a lot of the monsters, I wanted to put it in honorable mentions. Hopefully you guys understand, but they're great games, fantastic games. And then also Dragon's Dogma, Dark Arisen, I think is a little bit more of, I think, visceral with its combat. I want to say that it's a little bit more, in your face mechanics. Hey, there's some monsters. Hey, do some big spells. You're going to be jumping and climbing on monsters. So it's a little bit more Monster Hunter-y, but still it's an overall RPG there. You can do other things. Just like all the other honorable mentions, they're a little bit more well-rounded. Not that it's bad, it's just for a monster hunting list, I think you guys want to get right to the hunt. But on that note, getting right into the hunt, what game does that the best? I don't think anybody can contest our number one here. That's going to be Monster Hunter World. And you guys knew it was going to be on the list. Absolutely. I think everyone has been seeing the reviews, been watching the streams, or at least seen my streams, and I will be continuing to stream this game, guys. And most of the games actually on this list when they come out and re-release and stuff, but guys, I love monster hunting, and I'm telling you right now that even as not a fan of the Monster Hunter franchise, because I didn't have the platforms that it was on, but now I'm jumping into this, and even just from the beta, I can tell you that I already had this slotted as my number one. It was just that good. Even in the beta, we had just 2 maps, just a few monsters, and the depth there. With the weapons, the environmental interactions, the monsters freaking kaiju battling it out occasionally, all the traps, items, the freaking calico, the little cat pets, so cool. There's so much love and sincere passion in this game that I believe, honestly, it is uncontestedly the best monster hunting game. Of course, with the title, it seems proper, Monster Hunter. But now, Monster Hunter World is on PS4. I just got it. We all just got it. I will do a full review as soon as I can, guys. I am streaming it, but it is also coming to PC later on. I will probably repurchase it then as well so I can play with you guys. If you want to play with me, it's Skylent. Sure, no space on PlayStation Network, yeah? But Monster Hunter World is just a little bit bigger and better, I can tell you, because you actually hunt the monsters. You have to track them down, you have to actually jump on them, you can rodeo them. Yeah, it's silly, rodeoing a freaking Tyrannosaurus Rex. You do have dragons, you are going to have ridiculous explosive abilities, giant greatswords, slicing off tails. Yeah, but I think it's actually, even though it's Monster Hunter, and it is actually really humorous and comical in a lot of ways, little cat friends, but it's just, to me, sincere. It's more down to earth. It's more serious in a lot of ways, too, when it comes to the mechanics. It is completely focused on just getting into the mindset of a hunter going around killing giant freaking monsters. It's fantastic. But at the same time, it's not too fantasy compared to a lot on this list, and I think it's just the right balance, which is why everyone has loved this franchise for so long and why it's my number one monster hunting game. So my friends, that's the end of the top 10 list. If you found a new game to play or you got some inspiration to play a new game here, well, then go ahead and throw up a like. Thank you so much, and let me know if I missed any games. If you want to shout out them, leave it in the comments below. And of course, I got to give my applause. Thanks, guys, to the donations and the Patreon. You guys keep these top 10s and these reviews going. It actually takes a long time to buy these games, play these games, and talk about these games here, so I really do appreciate all the support because Lord knows that YouTube ain't doing it. But you're the guys that keep the hype alive. And if you're new, hey, remember to click that subscribe button and click that bell for a tell so you know when I go live with all these streams. Yeah, I'm streaming a lot of these games on this list consistently, and I hope we all have fun with that. Thanks for watching, guys. Much love. I'll see you in the next one.